Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. I want to introduce you to our Sociology and Scripture series. It's a playlist I'm developing because I believe truth is truth. I think there's truth in the social sciences. The ultimate truth is in the scriptures. And I want to try to find a way we can use the social sciences, social theory, to learn more deeply about the scripture. I know I'm not a theologian, so there's certain types of depths I can't get to because I've not studied that. But I still believe that we could apply what we know in the social sciences in ways to give us additional insight into the scripture. I'm in a unique position to do this, being a Christian who's serious about his faith, being a scholar who's serious about his scholarship. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope that this series can be insightful to you and help you in your faith. Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. Paradigm I'll share today is who is worth helping. It's part of my series on sociology and the scripture. I want to apply a sociological truth or theory to scripture. And one of the things that, as you do this, you realize that one thing sociology does is tell you how things tend to go in society. Sometimes, we as Christians, we do what the rest of society does. However, Jesus often teaches us to go a different path. This lesson fits into that understanding that often we have a different path. And this lesson is going to focus in on Luke 6:32-35. Luke 6:32-35, thinking about who we help and why. So, let's read that passage. Luke 6:32-35. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who are good to you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners do that. If you lend to those from whom you expect repayment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, expecting to be repaid in full. But love your enemies, do good to them, and lend to them without expecting to get anything back. This your reward. Then your reward will be great, and you'll be children of the Most High, because He is kind to the ungrateful and wicked. Let's think about that for a second. Jesus is saying, if you are just good to people who are good to you, so what? That is the way of society. That is normally expected. Which leads me to a theory known as social exchange theory. Social exchange theory basically argues that we enter into our decisions, into our relationships, with an idea of getting as much as we can out of them. So if I decide I'm going to invest in a relationship, I ask the question, what do I get out of this relationship? Is it worth my time investing? Ideally, I can maximize what I can offer to a relationship. So the assumption is that the other person's doing the same thing. They're deciding whether or not it's worth their time to have a relationship with me. And what can they get out of that? It's kind of easier to think about this way. Let's say we're talking about a dating relationship. And, this obviously applies to other types of social relationships, but I think it's really more clearly seen in a dating relationship. When a man is deciding whether or not he's going to date a woman or not, he's asking the question, does she offer enough that's worth my time? She's asking the question, does he offer enough to worth my time? So to break it down, a person who says a 7, and I don't mean just by looks, but by also, other relational assets, finances, personality. A person who's a 7 may want to date someone who's a 9, but that 9 can know that they can do better. So the 7 will wind up with a 7, 9 with a 9, 5 with a 5, 6 with a 6, however you want to look at it. We do that in our friendships as well. Does this person offer enough to me in their personality, in their resources, in their opportunities? That's social exchange. That we constantly going around, and as we encounter people, we ask the question, do I invest my time in them or not? Do they offer enough to invest my time in them or not? And then over time, we find ourselves in relations with people who are in our relative socioeconomic status, relative abilities, relative connections. You know, we may want to break into the higher stratosphere, but if we don't have the resources, they don't want to go down with us. And likewise, we don't want to deal with people who are below us. That's social exchange. You know what? A lot of our society is that way. We get all, glowing about being able to meet someone who's famous or rich or has connections. And we go out of the way to do that. And I'll be honest, that happens with me as well. You know, when I'm trying to further my career, someone with connections, I look at that. Or I try to further this channel. I'm interested in people who could help further this channel. Interested in a lot of things. So I'm not innocent of this. Few of us are. Jesus asks us to do better. He's asking us to lend money to people who may or may not be able to repay back, but they really do need it. Now, I'm not saying this as a way just to waste money. I would not lend money to someone who's going to blow it on alcohol or something of that nature or a foolish endeavor. But to lend to people who need, to love people who may not love you back, to give people who not give you back. How often do we do this? I don't always do this. I'll just be honest with you. I have to think one time where I did do it, and when I thought about it later on, I realized I was fulfilling God's commandments, which I unfortunately don't always do. I'm like you, I struggle as a sinner. I remember back after I graduated from college, I served a year as a campus minister. And we had our own little Baptist building that I had an office in. And one day a woman came in and she was homeless and she wanted to be driven down in the middle of the town, which was a large city. And I had work to do, but I just felt like, well, I should do this. So I remember driving her and talking with her and what have you, and driving her back and going back thinking, you know what? That woman had nothing to offer me. She didn't have resources. She was homeless. It wasn't an attraction thing, even though I was single at the time. She had nothing to offer me, and yet I wanted to give to her. I wish I did that more. I think we as Christians should think about who can we give who cannot pay us back. I admire people who work homeless ministries or minister to people who are down and out, whether it's substance abuse or things of this nature, who are giving to people who cannot give back to them, who likely will never be able to give back to them. That is the way of Christ. Okay, before I go on, if you enjoy this video, and enjoy thinking about sociology and scripture, please consider liking this video or liking this channel. If comments, pro, con, please offer them. This is how a channel like this can grow. So, social exchange theory. Society operates by seeking out those who can benefit them. We as Christians are commanded to serve everyone regardless of whether they can give to us or not. What I think would be a challenge is for us to engage in an introspection. Why do I give to the people I give to? Am I giving hoping to get something back in return? Or am I giving hoping that I will simply serve another image bearer? When we put it in that way, it becomes clear what we are to do. Serve everyone we possibly can. Now, obviously we can't serve everyone all the time. I can't be a taxi taking people everywhere all the time. But those in my orbit, I need to think about who in my orbit can't give to me, and thus I'm pulling back from them, not serving them. I told you a victory I had in this. Here's a defeat. I'm an introvert. And so sometimes when I meet people, I think, I'm just being honest, I think, is it worth my time to invest my energy into a relationship with them? We're developing one. And sometimes if I don't think that they have enough to offer, I don't. And maybe I need to rethink that. Maybe what I need to do is think about, they may not be able to offer me something, but they may gain from this relationship or this interaction. And I need to invest that time and energy. And for me as an introvert, that's meaningful. Investing that sort of energy is meaningful because that doesn't come easy for me. What kind of world would we have if we as Christians invested in everyone that we could, regardless if they could give back to us or not? What sort of witness would that produce? How would that change society? What sort of love and grace would we be offering if we did that? I think these are questions we should struggle with. Social exchange theory does offer us insight into how society works. But simply because it offers insight into how society works does not mean that we have to follow along its path. And I hope and pray that we don't. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you do, please come back. We can shatter some more paradigms.